right, welcome back. Um, Obviously, it's been like about a week since we last talked, a little bit more.
Yeah.
But we almost jinxed that. I was kind of sweating for this podcast for a
Yes,
second,
no, it
man.
was
It got close
we
there.
were
It got close.
we were bold with the thumbnail, with the title. We exuded a lot of confidence with that first sports episode, and it almost backfired right in our faces. But the basketball gods, they were like, no, this was
It,
just a lesson. This was just a lesson to us. This was just to let us know, not to be that bold. We got to be a little bit more measured and tame in our predictions and how we handle things going forward. Because that was
we, we say that as we do have a bold prediction later on in our podcast. So stay tuned, and you'll find that out. But yeah, that was still. Let's get into that. So
yeah. I
we
mean, we can
last
just
time we
talk about the
talked to y'all,
series.
it was 3-0. Like 3-0. So what
We
happened
talked to
game
y'all
four? What turned
right
around?
before
Like
the game started. Literally, we were recording as the game was starting. We
yep,
thought it was done. Jason
exactly.
Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they found life from somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know how they did it, but they figured it out. They games 4 through 6, and I mean game 6 is its own thing, but
That's you can't cut. That's a different player. You can't even.
that's a
It's a
whole
whole
different
different
thing.
animal. Let's
But
start with
games
game
4 and
four. Game four. I mean, they kind of just handed it to them, right?
yeah, it was
I think they won
yeah,
by.
that was yeah, I'm pretty sure that was just Boston just handled them the whole game. There wasn't really any, I don't know, Boston just wasn't, or Miami just was off. I think every team in a playoff series, I think, is
Yeah.
afforded a game like that. It kind of happens. We have seen it as a Knicks fan. I harp on this. I believe in those games so much, and Miami had one. It's cool. They lost. It's whatever.
So I'm
Game
looking at it now.
five,
It was
though, was
116 to 99. Third quarter, they just blew them out. That's
yeah, I would say
pretty much
that
what happened.
it wasn't really anything that was like, I don't know. I feel like that at no point did I feel like Miami was like, I mean, yeah, so first quarter was close. Miami was up. Miami was still up going into the half, but yeah, it was still close. It was never really one way or the other. And then after that third quarter, it was all Boston the rest of the way.
Exactly.
I would say, looks like games 5 or no, yeah, game 5 was like
Okay.
relatively similar, I guess, like kind of back and or no,
Yeah.
no, Boston
Hot
started off
start for the
just
Celtics.
yeah, I would say
Yeah.
Boston just blew them out of the water from the start there, and that was a whole different like. I feel like Miami never really recovered from that. They just hit them in the mouth.
They didn't.
That game in Boston as well, like I think that was a meaningful game
That
for
one
them.
hurt.
Yeah, for them to be able to go
And
back to Boston after getting that win in Game 4, like that,
exactly.
that momentum was huge going into that next
And
game.
that's when Bam and Jimmy kind of almost, I don't want to say fell off, but they kind of took a step back from the level
Yes,
they were playing at. They, games 4 and 5, they were not the same as themselves, which they had a whole play-in. They had 2 play-in games. They had 5-game series with the Bucks, 6-game series with the Knicks. Obviously it takes a toll on you, but still,
yeah.
you can't have that kind of, you can't do that against the Nuggets. Let's say that. But I mean,
Oh,
ended up going to game 6. That one was a different one. That was a really.
that was
Let's talk about that
super.
ending. That was a crazy ending.
I mean, that game in general was just super exciting. Like, that's the one thing about this series, even though the games have been like, I don't know, not all of them have been close, like in terms of the final score. It's been a competitive back and forth series. Like, either team has had an opportunity to win each game realistically. And that one was just like, I mean, I saw who it was Marcus Smart, who he had that three he pulled up. It was like, if it was, I thought it was going to go in. It looked like it could have, like it might have rimmed in or like it might have come back up. And Derek White,
Immediately,
supposedly the most underrated player in the league now after hitting this shot.
apparently.
Everyone has discovered, like Columbus, they've discovered Derek White. He is the new greatest thing. But it was
He's a
amazing.
good
I
player.
mean, crazy shot, saved the series for Boston. That
It,
was insane.
in my opinion, the crazy part of that game was just even before that, when the Heat were down about 10 there at the end,
Yeah,
and
they were almost.
Jimmy single-handedly brought them back, and I was like, it's now or never for them, and it had to be Jimmy, and Jimmy literally he did what he had to do, and he pulled through. He gave them. The crazy part is they were down about, I think it was 2, and then he ended up getting the foul from Al Horford, which ended up being a 2-point foul call, and then the Celtics challenged it, made it a 3-pointer, which kind of bit them in the butt. But
Yeah.
I mean, they ended up getting all 3 free throws. I was like, it's over. 3 seconds left.
Yeah, and I thought it was
No
done.
way they do. Well, they ended up adding time. That's the crazy part. It was 2.1 to 3. I mean, obviously, the refs know the real time. I don't know what's happening there, but could be some bias. But
who knows?
Anyway,
but it was
that ending.
It was
Derek White. You got to give him a he deserved that. That was
that was one of the best moments of this playoff so far, easily. But talking about Jimmy in that fourth quarter, he turned up in that fourth quarter. I think it's important to know, while he finished with 24 points, did well in that fourth quarter, but most of that game he wasn't really there. Neither was Bam.
He wasn't.
It was really the second half and the end of the game in particular where he got a lot of those stats. But that momentum, talking about how he was off for a few games maybe, he turned back on. And that carried over into Game 7.
Definitely.
That carried over into Game 7 in a way that Boston was not able to handle. It was, oh my gosh, it was crazy. I mean, from top to bottom, I'll let you.
Before we start giving any props to how bad the Celtics were, I think before giving any props to even Jimmy, I think hands down everyone has to at least know the name Caleb Martin. Dude, that man, he hit every bucket for them. He kept them alive. He held their lead around 10 the whole game when it started falling. He played 45 minutes in that Game 7. And hear this, he was playing 5 to 10 minutes a game in the first round series against the Bucks. That's crazy.
Caleb Martin, he's definitely been, I think
he averaged 7 minutes on the regular season, I'm pretty sure. It was around that number.
He's the type of player that personifies what Miami's been this whole postseason, and just their culture that makes them so good. It really is next man up, regardless of who the next man is. You think of that first series in particular with Hero and Oladipo healthy at the start of the playoffs. That's why Martin wasn't getting any minutes, but both of them fall out. He all of a sudden, gets thrust into the rotation a bit more with Duncan Robinson getting more minutes. Max Strus and Gabe Vincent were already important parts of the team, but getting significantly more minutes because of Hero. It's just been everyone who's needed to step up for that team in the moments that have mattered. They've stepped up, and it's shown. And we were talking about it earlier. On top of all of the talent they have that's shown out, Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches of our generation. I don't know, look, I don't know the X's and O's. I don't know what plays he's running. I don't know what schemes he's got going on, but the ability to take that, he knows what he's doing. I see him, he's doing good stuff. The ability to take that level of talent and bring it to on paper, Miami should not be where they're at. I mean, you think about it, and you were talking about it before. They went through the play-in, then Milwaukee. I want to say the Knicks, but whatever. And now Boston. They have had a tough path to get here. They made it to the finals now. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But if they're to win the finals, I think it's more significant than any other 8 seed that's won the finals because they had to go through the play. And this could be the biggest, biggest underdog championship story, in NBA history based off of that.
In all of sports.
There's never been a lower...
What they've been through.
Yeah, so they're talking about the number of injuries they had throughout the regular season and the postseason. It is a different level of... Oh, yeah, there was a stat they were talking about yesterday during the game. I forget what exactly, but Miami this season they were in the top 4 or 5 teams all time for most players with most missed games overall by their players, which is insane. You think about that combined between all of their talent, And it's not like, again, on paper, they're a crazy team anyway. A lot of their players are undrafted and two-way and like minimum contract. Like it's not a ton of star power beyond that Jimmy, Bam. I don't think Hero or Lowry are stars really, but
They're
like,
not really. Hero maybe, but that's about
yeah,
it.
it's like Hero-ish, but like it's not the same level as not the same level as Boston on paper. And they still won. So crazy series. Good on Eric Spoelstra. Good on Jimmy. And then
They earned it. They deserved it.
they did. But now they something a little bit more difficult awaits them on the other side of this. And we've been talking about it. They've been resting up. Oh, I put the wrong thing up there. There we go. Yes, two-time MVP. Just a super solid team overall. They've been resting. They're going to have, what'd you say? It's like 11 days, over a week?
10 days exactly.
10 days rest in between games. Denver Nuggets coming off of a sweep of the Lakers. Going to head into the finals against the Miami team that, again, has had to go to increasingly more games every series this postseason. Yeah. I guess I'll let you, how are you feeling about this series? What are your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen?
Immediate reactions is it's going at least 6. At least 6. I'd expect 7 though. I mean, this game, both these teams have fought super hard throughout the playoffs. I don't see Jimmy Butler going down without a fight. Everyone's thinking Nuggets in 4, maybe Nuggets in 5, but I don't know. I think Heat are gonna continue to prove people wrong. That's what they've done on playoffs. They beat the Bucks in 5. They beat the best team in basketball, number 1, Bucks, in 5. Then they go and beat the Celtics. Yes, it was in 7, but they were up 3-0. Like, they could have won Game 6 easily. That was down to the wire. They really manhandled that series, if you ask me, besides that 2-game lapse. I mean, they really deserve to be here. And at this point, I don't see why they shouldn't be considered a 1 seed as well. Like, I mean, obviously they are an 8 seed, but they've proven to be the quality of a 1 seed. That's more than what a 1 seed would have done. They had to go through the 1 seed, the 2 seed, and the 4 seed, or 5. You guys are the 5 seed. So 1, 2, and 5. 1, 2, and 5. I mean, yes, the Nuggets went through the Western Conference, the harder conference. I'll give them that. But the teams they went through, play-in teams. They went through the Timberwolves, and the Lakers. And yes, I guess we're talking about play-in teams, and they're playing the play-in team now right here, which is kind of ironic. But I mean, I don't see that making. I mean, I don't think the Nuggets have had a real tough challenge, and I think this will be that for them.
That's a valid. I mean, I do think up until this point, yes, this is going to be Denver's most difficult series throughout this postseason. But I think the biggest thing for me, and I think it's a difference between like Miami, like some of the other teams Miami has played, a lot of the teams in the East in comparison to Denver, is you can shut down Boston. If Jimmy can guard Jason Tatum, Bam can be like, you can shut down one of those guys, either like Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, Boston's going to have a rough time. Same thing with the Knicks. Yeah, definitely. You really don't even really need to shut anyone down. We're just going to have a rough time. Milwaukee, Giannis was not really there. So, again, a majority of they were handicapped. They had a rough time. That's true. I guess this is a question to you, but how does Miami do that to Denver? Because the way I see it and why I think Denver, even if it's not in 5, I do see them winning the series relatively handily, is because maybe they get like Jokic for a night. Maybe they get Jamal Murray for a night. But there's nothing to say that I think they're just consistent enough across the board. You have Michael Porter Jr. there too.
Depth. Real good depth.
Aaron Gordon depth as well. Yes, quality, consistent depth that even if you knock down and again, it's saying knock down like a down game for Jokic is going to be 17, 10 rebounds and 8 assists instead of a 30-point triple-double. A down game for Jamal Murray is going to be like 17 and he misses a bunch of threes or something like that. Like, even their down games are going to be, they're not as drastic as Jason Tatum not hitting any threes in like a fourth quarter or something like that. Like, it's not the same drop off. So I have more faith in Denver to kind of stay the course. Even if, someone has an off night, I expect other people to pick up for them and just kind of carry them through.
Yeah. We're both forecasting a very tough matchup here on both sides. Like, it's going to be difficult. I kind of think the difference maker in this series could end up being Tyler Hero, who is expected to return for Game 3. I think he would return in a role off the bench, kind of similar to like a Duncan Robinson role, since he is still returning from an injury, obviously. Factor in this series that I don't think enough people are talking about. I know, obviously, the Heat have done way better without him right now. You can't say that. But if you have another shot maker, like another Gabe Vincent to plug in, another Duncan Robinson, another Max Strus, why wouldn't you want that? And somebody of this quality, Tyler Hero is one of the best three-point shooters in the game, like hands down.
Yeah, no, that's definitely going to be huge for them. And you were talking about him earlier. I think another key matchup in this series is going to be Caleb Martin and Michael Porter Jr. I think those two probably going to end up in a lot of situations where they're matched up against each other. Michael Porter Jr., Gomezoo, I love my, straight out of Columbia, I love my Tigers, but he's hit or miss. He has that, I think because like we were talking about, there are probably going to be games where Jamal Murray and Jokic are going to be eliminated. Like, if Miami's going to win this series, that's going to have to happen. The thing that, kind of foolproofs that is if Michael Porter's out there getting, in between 18 and like 23 a game in this playoffs or in the finals. If he can do that, or at least, outperform Caleb Martin, then I think that is going to be a significant thing. But on the flip side, if Caleb Martin can, pester him a lot, cause him trouble, and, just with his high effort and energy, really press him, I think Michael Porter, thing about him that concerns a lot of people still is like defensive effort, like lapses on that side of the ball despite his length. If Caleb Martin with that high press and that energy, if they're breaking him down or just, pinpointing him, making him a focal point of that attack, they can take advantage of that. That's what we saw them do to Boston. So
100%.
I think it's definitely that matchup is one I'm really interested to see. So we're going to see how your boy does. Maybe he's going to determine.
I like Caleb
like
here. It's our boy, your boy versus my boy.
Yes,
right that'll be on the cover of our next NBA guarantee it right here.
I don't know if I want Michael Porter to be my boy necessarily. I'll take the Mizzou tap. I'll take it.
Yeah. There we go. I'll take Caleb Martin's background, whatever it is. I'll accept it. No.
All right.
You know what? Florida.
You're more inclusive than me.
Florida. No, we're both pretty. But beside the point. I'm in Florida, Miami. That's about 5 hours away.
Exactly.
There we go.
See, that's your boy.
That's
you're
my
in
boy
Miami.
now.
You're in Miami.
I'm basically in Miami. So.
All right. So I guess we can. Final prediction. I guess we both kind of said who we think is going to win, but final prediction for you: who's winning and how many games?
I do have a. Well, I will give you a final prediction. Yeah. Final prediction will be Heat in 7.
Okay.
That's my final prediction. What my bold prediction is, it really comes down to. Actually, no. I'll let you
save
your.
We'll hold
ahead.
the bold prediction.
Give your final prediction.
You say Heat in 7?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be. I want to say Denver in 5. But the last time I said Miami was going to lose in 5, they beat us in 6. So I'll say Denver in 6. I think Miami. I could see Miami winning Game 1. Honestly,
that'd be a sneaky one.
I could see Miami winning
so
Game
much rest.
1. I could see them winning Game 1, like just hitting them in the mouth, and then I could see them winning, and they'll take a game in Miami for sure. They'll win a home game for sure.
And there you go, 2-2 right there. Best of 3 series.
All right, so
So
we have a
bold
little
prediction
in-between
time.
slide for this. Yes. Who said that? Who said that? Which one of us? This is like a who said that? We're going to decide who said that. We're going to say things. And I guess these are our hot takes, basically. This is our bold takes. This is the thing we do.
So I'll start this one off. I got a real bold
yes.
one here. It was kind of on the lines of what we're just talking about, so that's why I want to go first. But my bold prediction is if the Heat role players, like the Max Strus, the Gabe Vincent, the Duncan Robinson, all of these players, if these players can continue to do average around 10 points per game, if they could keep doing that, keep producing with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler playing at how they were playing in round 1, in the beginning of round 3, and in the second round, I don't see any reason why the Heat can't win in 5, which is, I think, a very bold prediction. I mean, 5 games with
Heat in
against
5 is
a
bold.
team, an 8 seed over a 1 seed. That's one of my bold predictions there.
Heat in 5 is bold.
Yeah, you don't really have much of a reaction because you're kind of shocked here, I bet. But
that's crazy.
I think it's possible. I think it's possible.
I mean, possible. I get, but how?
I think they take game 1. I think they lose game 2 because they can't go.
Nah. This is really a Skip Bayless type take. How did they 5? You don't see Denver getting more than a game?
It's a bold take.
You think it's possible? You think it's possible that Denver only wins a game?
I think Miami learned their lesson from the last series. We're closing this stuff out early. Like, we're not letting this last. You know, like if they get up early, they're holding a lead. They're not letting this. They're not letting it slip. If they grab a lead in the series, they're not letting it slip. This is a tough-minded team, tough-minded coach. Heat in 5, man. They beat the Bucks in 5. They beat the best team in basketball in 5. That's Nuggets are going down in 5. You guys can all comment, roast me when this doesn't happen, but I'm confident here.
Who said that? That's an awful. We're gonna bring that back to you next week.
Pull up the receipts.
When you ask who
when the series is 3-0 Nuggets.
Yes, when it's 3-0 Nuggets, we're gonna know that you said that. We're gonna have this videotape ready to go.
We'll rewind it.
My prediction. This is maybe like more of a nuanced one. I think that the game is going, or that like the series is going to be decided, whatever the decisive game is, Aaron Gordon is going to be the best player in that game. Aaron Gordon is going to have like a really sneakily good series. He's going to have a sick decisive game if it's 6, 7, whatever. And he's not going to win finals MVP because that's not how it works. But I think Aaron Gordon is going to do enough that people are going to be like, you know what, like respect, like real ones know Aaron Gordon like really carried this series for Denver. That's because I think he's the only. I think he's the only one for Miami who they don't really have a matchup for. I think he's the one who could like really break through. Miami guards
him.
Yeah, it's like who guards him. They have
Jimmy?
wings.
No.
You got to put Jimmy on like maybe Jimmy. But I think he's too big for Jimmy. I really think he's too big for Jimmy. I think he would cause Jimmy problems. And I think that would be a waste of. I think that would be a waste of Jimmy. Jimmy's a better.
I don't know where you put Jimmy. Jamal.
Yeah, I feel like Jamal Murray makes the most sense, but then that's like where do you put Kyle Lowry when he's on the court? So that's like I don't know. You can't waste Jimmy on KCP, but I don't think really Michael Porter. I mean, he'll guard a ton of people, I'm sure. Maybe he'll just be guarding Jokic. Maybe that'll just be the.
It's definitely possible. I mean, this man says I think he guarded Al Horford a bit in the last series, so.
We'll see what happens.
Guess we'll see. I'm sure he guarded Giannis too, so.
Yeah.
All right. My last question for both of us. I'm gonna answer it first, but my last question for both of us is, who is the MVP of the finals? I think you kind of had the consensus of Jokic, but I'm gonna say my bold prediction here, and it's an MVP prediction. It's not gonna be Jokic. It's not gonna be Jimmy Butler. And I think that's also pretty bold. I think somebody that's bold. A Bam Adebayo steps up. I think even an Aaron Gordon. I think a Jamal Murray could easily steal it.
I was
Caleb
thinking
Martin.
Jamal. I was thinking Jamal Murray, but that didn't feel bold enough to me. I wanted to go bolder than
It's
Jamal
not
Murray, but
super.
Jamal Murray.
It is
But
kind of bold,
I just because
but
he's the second man, he's like the second man up. But he definitely like that is a bold one.
he
He
was
if he
close.
gets it, that
He
would be a
should have
surprise
been
over
close.
Jokic.
He should have been close in the Western Conference Finals. I think
Yeah.
he was dropping 30 a game, 30 plus. But Jokic was doing really well too, but wasn't scoring as much. So I mean, obviously they're gonna get lean towards Jokic here. So I think it is kind of bold, but that's what I think. If you had to make a pick now, who do you think?
If I'm going, if I'm going Nuggets, I think Jokic. Um, if I'm going Miami though, I like a Bam. I don't think. See, the thing is, like, it just doesn't. I feel like it's not really merit based. Like, it would end up being Jimmy, just because of
Yeah,
how, like, unless he's had a statistically awful finals, Jimmy's gonna get it. But I wouldn't mind like Bam. Bam's really the only one who I feel like I could see getting it, other than Kyle Lowry comes out the cut and gets Finals MVP.
he is really the only guy. Maybe Jamal
Yeah,
on the on
yeah,
the on the Nuggets, but
yeah. I would say
that's
Jamal.
it
Yeah, I
to
would say
me.
Jamal passed him, but I think it. I think it would end up being Jokic on Denver, and then it would. I like the idea of Bam getting it on Miami. I feel like he would deserve it
He could
probably.
he could
In
he
order
could
for them
sneak
to
it.
win this series, his defensive impact on Jokic is going to make him worth it
It's gonna make
100%.
or break the series, honestly.
Yes, he's gonna. Yeah,
That's
like
a
if
huge
they win
matchup.
the series, his performance will deserve it. So
Definitely.
I would hope that he gets it, but I don't know. We'll see.
We'll have to see. Um, that's all. That's all I have.
Yeah, I think we're. I
I
think we're
think we're all
done.
ready
So
for
we'll.
this. Ready for the series to start. Like
Yeah,
Heat
this is
here,
getting.
Nuggets there. We're
This is
getting a
getting
rivalry
posted.
going here.
This is getting posted before the game starts. So watch this, then watch the game, or watch this
Yeah.
after the game
And then
and see
roast
how.
us in the comments.
Yeah, and see how awful our takes are about it afterwards. It's a win-win. It's a win-win. Before or after, do
Exactly.
what you want. But yeah, we'll see y'all next week, and we'll do post-mortem. We'll see how which one of us jacked up our picks this time. What did we jinx this time? We'll see.
We'll see who's right, who's wrong. Thanks for listening.